A man whose name became synonymous with black militancy in the 1960s was shot to death early this morning in Oakland, California. Huey Newton, a co-founder of the Black Panther Party, had been shot several times. He was 47. Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
Newton's body was found before dawn in a pool of blood on a West Oakland sidewalk. Police said he had 3 bullet wounds in the head. Newton's wife's car was parked and locked just 30 feet away. The former radical died miles from his own home in a troubled neighborhood where drug deals and gunshots are common.
He was a hero figure in our eyes, something to look up to. And it's just, like I said, sad that he was reduced to being slain in the streets of West Oakland.
Huey Newton sprang to national prominence in 1966 as one of the founders of the Black Panther Party in Oakland. Openly and legally armed with rifles and shotguns, Panthers followed Oakland police officers on patrol to enforce fair treatment of black people on the city streets.
The people have been enslaved too many years. The chains must be removed, so help us God.
The Panther philosophy was that black Americans could legally defend themselves against oppression.
Huey had a knack of taking civil disobedience and putting it on the cutting edge.
Several Panthers went to prison, and the group said 28 members died in confrontations with police. The rest went on to other things. Bobby Seale recently wrote a cookbook. But Huey Newton spent time in jail for possession of drug paraphernalia and embezzling money from an Oakland community school. The man who once brought food to children stole from them. Police haven't said who killed Huey Newton or why. Brian Rooney, ABC News, San Francisco.
Yo, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is another episode of 1804 History. Hit like, comment, subscribe to the channel, the 1804 show, chapter 2. Now let's begin. So tonight, we're going to be talking about the murder of Dr. Huey P. Newton, who was killed August 22nd, 1989. And it's just a whole lot of people may know the story of Huey P. Newton, but his final years, it's just really don't go to the public, and I just figured that I will be the one to tell it, because I was just really brokenhearted when I found out about what happened to him. And it's just so much speculation and it's so much hearsay, but I just figured that it's just a really interesting piece that no one ever talks about, of 2 black men, one trying to help his community and another one that's destroying his community. And it just really hits home because I'm a black man and I'm just totally the opposite of what goes on or that gets through the mainstream. I'm not no thug. I've never been locked up, never been in jail, don't do none of the low vibrational stuff that's celebrated. But yeah, I speak to my people. Knowledge of self, truth to power, work ethic, and just bettering yourself and just coming together. And it's just so many people like to just throw his flaws and make him out to be the devil. And I'm talking about Huey P. Newton, and he wasn't. And a lot of people want to know what happened or how they will be able to handle walking in his shoes and just being a person who was terrorized in his young life. Because the Black Panthers when they started, they was kids. They was young, 19, 20, 21, going to college, and just saw the police brutality and just racism in their communities and neighborhoods. So they decided to do something about it, which a lot of people wouldn't do. And I admire that courage. I admire that initiative, because a lot of us sit back and watch things happen and turn the other cheek because it's none of our business. And we lost that thought and that responsibility that it takes a village. And we just so quick to party and turn up and have fun. But you have a group of kids who decided to do something about it. And Huey was practicing law and reading books and just finding out these things about the Constitution and finding out about rights and laws and loopholes, and really was going against the grain here. And we talking about 1960s America, which a lot of stuff happened in that decade, and there were so many different radical groups, and you had the war in Vietnam, you had the war in the South and all over the United States, and you had just hippies and us organization, and you had just so much going on all at once. And this is right after the assassination of Malcolm X, and it was just a void because Malcolm really represented self-defense. And even though like the Panthers were famously known for correlating the animal panther as their symbol, and it was used by the people in Alabama and Lowndes County, which I'm going to discuss that later. And it's just really deep how just people just go by the afros, the leather jackets, and the sunglasses and the guns. But this was practically a group of kids who were just really serious about making their community and the world a better place, because you had so much tyranny going on, and we don't really enjoy seeing things like that. We don't enjoy seeing change because destruction is what we used to and what we was programmed, and we have to keep these people in remembrance. And just the fact that somebody had to step up to the plate and somebody had to say something and just say that we refuse to allow the police to beat us down and to destroy us and to murder us like we nothing. And it was just so much death that was happening. And I'm not here to make any excuses, but it's just, I want people to just get another lens of the whole story. Just by me reading it and watching documentaries on Huey, and you could just tell that he was going through a whole lot of mental issues and PTSD. Like, the man got shot 4 times and could have died. And he was charged with the murder of Officer John Fry, but he got shot, and he got shot in his abdomen, his stomach, and stuff like that. And while he was in the hospital, while they try to perform emergency surgery, you had the police come in there, handcuffed him, and beat his ass, and took him to jail. and had him on first-degree murder charges for the officer, which was an illegal stop. They knew who he was, and they killed a lot of people. You know, these was officers that they knew, and that would like show up on patrol, just harassing people. And I just try to to see everything from all angles before I make a particular judgment. But you just sit back and you just really realize that, wow, like protecting your community leads to character assassination, harassment, being vilified, and being ostracized, and being just alone. And what brings me to his death, because like I said, he was a brilliant man. He was a troubled soul. Allegedly, he did drugs. Allegedly, he was framed for killing a young prostitute. And they try to get him on that. They try to get him on embezzlement and just a whole bunch of stuff. And just try to say that he was a so-called tyrant. Like he beat people up. He was extorting the local drug dealers and just telling them like, hey, you gonna sell me some crack. And if you don't, then you can't operate in this area no more. But apparently, the 25-year-old Tyrone Robinson was a member of the Black Guerrilla family. He refused to sell him anything, and then they argued for a minute. The next minute, shots rung off, and he was shot in the head 3 times. And I believe the address was 1456 South 9th Street, on the corner of Center Street in Oakland. If I'm wrong, someone correct me, because I think I'm right. I think I'm right on point. But like I said, I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just sit back and you just really think about, because they was just really talking about just oppression and just liberation. And then you have somebody that looks like you that takes you out. And it hurts because it's like, I survived the pigs and I survived the people who were white, and I get taken out by my own brother, someone with the same skin color as me, someone who doesn't believe in my beliefs and doesn't understand my vision or my purpose, and he takes me out. And allegedly they was just talking about how Huey Newton was armed and he was unarmed. And this happened late night. So they was just talking about how it was witnesses that saw the shooting and try to make it about drugs, and everybody wasn't buying that. A lot of people knew what it was. A lot of people, including Elaine Brown, she was even saying that it was just an assassination attempt that they started 20 years ago, which became a success. And it just was like one of those deaths that just shook the community. And we had just so much to learn from that, just by somebody who's willing to not only think about himself and his family, but he's thinking about people, his people as a collective. And that person usually gets taken out because, you know, everyone doesn't support change. Everybody doesn't support having to sacrifice something for the greater good or for the big picture. And we just have there's so much to fix and so much to do still. You know, ain't nothing changed from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. It's just, to me, I feel like it got worse. And you have, you know, even your own people contributing to the aftermath. Because what I just try to get people to understand is that the devastation of our communities isn't planned, but it's by design. You know, they put all these drugs into our communities, the liquor stores, the gun store, public housing. They did all that for a reason. They did all that so we won't ever rise above. We will never have uh, any intellect to to go and be somebody ever again because we so busy dependent on them. And Huey was always talking about making sure that we did something for ourselves and that we feed each other. And the WIC program, the WIC program started in our own communities. Then they took it from them and made it into their thing, which was horrible, which was bad. But this organization, you know, really helped a lot of people and got a lot of people killed, a lot of people served time in prison, football numbers, and it just was really like a number one priority to eliminate us. But us as black people, we are undefeated. No matter what they have tried to do to us and try to take us out and try to get rid of us, we always multiply. We always come back stronger than ever. And I just sense a change. I feel a change. And you know, I'm not here to bash the killer because the dude's still alive and probably have family, so I don't want him to come after me. But I'm just saying that, you know, he probably, well, hopefully, he realized what he done and have remorse and has asked God for forgiveness, you know, for repentance as well, you know, and you just sit back and you just think about just why people don't want us to come together and love each other and help each other. You know, why everybody so threatened by our unity or our unification? Everybody be so threatened by black people coming together. But everybody else can come together and live in unison. But black people, we are a threat when we come together. They afraid of that. They afraid of all of us waking up and really realizing that, you know, we're the chosen ones. We're God's people. And they hate for anybody to be telling the masses, brothers and sisters, who they are. And this is not about no, you know, race against anybody else, but it's just, you should sit back and you should really think like, you know, they really flooded the streets with crack and guns and sex, all this other shit. But anytime we talk about power to the people and being the best that you can be, you know, think before you act, we get taken out. And they kill so many leaders that nobody else want to be leaders. They killed so many of them because a lot of people were scared, like, damn, they killed him or they killed her. Then which makes you think they gonna take it easy on me? What they gonna do to me? But watching that crime scene, watching the fire department spray that hose to wash away his blood in the gutter, it was hard. It was hard to watch. It was tough to watch that. And I'm gonna try to add a lot of clips and archives into the video so people will see what I'm talking about. But it's just really sad how you gotta die for people to love you and for people to understand where you was coming from. You don't get a name, well, sorry, you don't get a street named after you while you're alive, but you get a street named after you're dead. You get a statue in your honor when you're dead. And then you have kids or some fools vandalize it. So we just have to understand, like, it's people in our community that's dangerous for our betterment, and it's people that's a threat to our prosperity. And we have to either hold them accountable or they can't stay here. Because if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And quite frankly, Huey had no idea that he was going to meet his fate by another black man. But like I said, I don't think that was the truth. I think that was just the throwaway story. But I do think it was more bigger fish to kill Huey Newton, because he was still out doing interviews, he was still out doing speeches, he was still out doing talk shows and really giving the blueprint out, and they couldn't have that. You know, they couldn't have a resurgence, so they had to kill him. But yeah, I will end this story, and thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all hit comment. Make sure y'all hit subscribe. Man, I cannot talk tonight. But yeah, make sure that y'all hit like, comment, subscribe to the channel, the 1804 Show, Chapter 2. Have a good night.
See, that's an absolute
Peace.
statement. You have white people in jail. We mean as the statistical average that blacks are more often stopped according to our number that we represent in society, which is only about 11%.
Right. You know what? I don't think anybody's going to disagree with it. I agree with you completely. How do we change that?
Let me give you an example.
I mean, all we're giving
the way you
statistics
change it is
the
through
same
revolution.
old talk.
The way you change it is changing the entire institutionalized racism.
Okay, we're not going to change the whole system this morning. Give us some
Wait
ideas what we can do to help.
We're not going to do anything but procrastinate. But what I'm trying to say is we have to start movements like the civil rights movement, continue it like the Black Panther Party, continue it like the Republic of New Africa, continue movements like the Nation of Islam, because it needs all of those groups, all of those movements, just to start to make a dent in the kind of twisted mentality white people have in this country.
Why aren't they being started
from the upper class to the middle class? Because they all
Rita has a comment here.
By the situation of black oppression, one way or another, even when they don't want to.